What's up, Carter?
Good to see you, man. I'm so glad we canceled the show Monday for the most glorious Monday Night Football game of all time. I mean, it was such a high-scoring, entertaining affair. So,
I actually like the NFL because teams actually play defense.
is it defense or is it Bryce Young being a rookie and Derek Carr being washed?
Well, the other game was a defensive struggle.
Was it Deshaun Watson being washed?
Yeah, but the most electrifying offenses in the league score around 30 points anyway.
No, I'm glad the Saints won. I'm glad the NFC South still has a bunch of quarterbacks that really aren't all that great.
Hey, well, you say that. Baker Mayfield said, "What's up?"
Baker, Hulu has live sports. Baker Mayfield. How about that?
Baker got that money stolen. He needs another contract. By the way, his parents are the one that stole his money. Do you know about that?
No.
Yeah, he gave his massive $21 million signing bonus to his parents to be the brokers on the account, and they took all of his money.
Baker, the playmaker. Oh no, Baker.
Baker, the idiot's what I say.
Right. Yeah, I think the Saints are looking good right now. I understand it doesn't look too pretty, but my goodness gracious. Rashid Shaheed. I love him so much.
I knew you would.
I love Rashid, man. That is my favorite player on this team. Huh?
All right. They're not here to listen to us talk about the Saints. They're here for us to talk about LSU. Carter, I think that this game can be summarized in one sentence. LSU's defensive line, and if they have production, it's over.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Blake. On Power Hour SEC, I've done a lot of Arkansas film studies, and the one thing that's really interesting to me, Blake, was their offensive line was on their ass a lot. Now, I'm not just saying
flat by BYU.
Yeah, but I'm not just saying that they were getting beat. No, they were literally falling on their rear ends a lot.
Right.
I had never, especially for a 4-quarter game, never in my life, Blake, have I seen an offensive line look that tired. They could not keep their feet. They couldn't keep their stance. They were out of shape, and that blew me away. And that was by the third quarter. It wasn't the fourth quarter. It was third quarter. And their conditioning, I don't know what it was. I mean, they looked really fatigued. And you got to think about it this way. LSU was home by 5:30. They were home early.
They were the coaches. Well, I'm not going to say this, but it would not shock me if the coaches watched the game together at LSU football ops.
Yeah, absolutely. And that allowed them to get ahead of their scouting for that week. And think about Arkansas. That was a late game, a back and forth, very taxing game. And KJ Jefferson is banged up. Blake, they barely beat Kent State. I know that scoreline looked like a blowout. They struggled.
Yeah, what was the kid's name? The running back for Kent State. He ran all on that ass.
Yeah, and it was crazy. So I think one of the biggest disappointments in the SEC has been Arkansas's offense. Now, their defense is a different story.
They got dudes on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: you take a look at the blue chip ratio of their defensive players. There are a lot of 4-star leftovers from the big schools. So remember, last year, Arkansas's best player on their team was Drew Sanders. Okay, and he was a 5-star leftover from Alabama. You mentioned Dwight McGlothern before I came on here, and Landon Jackson's playing pretty solid.
The Jeffcoat kid.
Jeffcoat's a good player. He's a year 6 guy in Missouri, multiple-year starter. And Singletary, one of their corners, is a really good 5-star.
They moved the white corner to safety.
Yeah, the guy that Arkansas has gotten a few times. They moved him to safety. He's a pretty solid player. And honestly, Blake, what this game is going to come down to for me, okay, so you mentioned the LSU defensive line. one thing that LSU needs to be prepared for, and it's one of the more undertold stories about the Arkansas game. I think everyone knows Perk. Everyone knows the flu. Everyone knows about the Bama hangover, and LSU didn't play their best. The issue was they had struggles blitzing or blocking the blitzing that Arkansas threw their way. And where does Arkansas like to blitz more than anywhere else? Right up the mother effing middle. And that's where they had success last year versus LSU. So this is going to be a huge game for Charles Turner and Miles Frazier, and whatever LSU decides to do at right guard is probably going to be Miles Frazier and Garrett Dellinger. It's going to be a big game for them because Arkansas's blitzers are really good at blitzing right through the A-gap.
I agree. On film, they've had a lot of success there. BYU, though, only beat Sam Houston 14-0.
Yeah.
Slovis has not been good. They collapsed. And you know what else, Carter? They are undisciplined. They had 15 penalties in that game.
Yeah. No, this is I'll say this. Do I think Arkansas played better than BYU this past weekend? I would say yes. They had a better success rate. They had a better yards per play. BYU caught so many lucky breaks in that game. But
are they, though? Are they?
Yes.
You have a 6'3", 250-pound quarterback, and you can't get an inch.
They won't QB sneak. The same thing LSU fans were asking this past weekend on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, but I will tell you, that's not a BYU like lucky break. They're not that good up front.
Right. I will say this though. BYU tried a fake field goal on a 4th and 7.
Right.
And they had the delay a game thing happen. And that obviously changed the entire game. That was crazy. But I do agree that this Arkansas team is flawed. And one thing that a lot of people in Fayetteville worry about here, Blake, is Sam Pittman. Has he regressed between the headsets?
Now, let me ask you this. Does he not sound like a man that's deflated? I've listened to him twice in 2 days. I listened to him today on the SEC teleconference. That man had no energy. The guy that, the titties were flopping around. He goes, yes, sir. That energy guy is not there. He is a deflated dude, man.
I feel the same way, right? I've seen him just not be the same. It kind of feels like Arkansas is just ready to turn the page. And look, Arkansas is in a position where they're competing at high levels in other sports, kind of like LSU is right now, and they want more out of their football program. They feel like they've maxed out at this point. And I think the ultimate sign of that, Blake, is the fact that Arkansas's offensive line is just not playing well. And now you went up against BYU's front. Now you got Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith playing better. I think this could also be a good game for LSU's backup defensive tackles to get some good run against this group. I think LSU just has such a huge advantage in the trenches here.
Carter, we talked about all that, and you know what my gut feels? My gut tells me, Blake, don't act like this is going to be a blowout, because this game historically is always close.
Yeah.
I don't know, Carter. Like, if it gun to my head, if you said, Blake, pick LSU minus 18 or Arkansas plus 18, what would you do? I don't know if LSU covers in this one.
Yeah, it's tough to blow teams out in back-to-back weeks. But if LSU does, if they come out and just blow another SEC team out, I don't care how bad or good they are, it is tough to blow out SEC teams in back-to-back weeks. It is really, really hard to do that. That's a sign that this team very well could be special. And I know Arkansas is very flawed. Their two receivers are from Texas A&M Commerce and Hillsdale. Hillsdale? That sounds like a CW sitcom, Hillsdale. Was there a show called Hillsdale?
Yeah, there's a show called Hillsdale.
I honestly
You're so full of it.
No, I swear. I swear. I don't watch. I did not watch Dawson's Creek or anything.
Oh, wait, it's Riverdale.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, my bad. But you were close.
I
know you. You drink those little fruity drinks, the lemony twang, and you watch Riverdale.
But yeah, look.
Do you watch Riverdale?
I've never. I guess I've heard of it. I don't know why it just made me want to say the CW. But I'll say this, okay? They're lacking at the skill position. They do have a tight end that is a carbon copy of Mason Taylor. True freshman Lucas is a really good player for them. But I'll tell you this, Blake. It does feel like they're deflated. But like you said, this game is always close, and there's always something that Arkansas has in their advantage of this matchup, with this being their Super Bowl. They know every year they're not going to the playoff.
And you know what, Carter? Like, when LSU lost to Florida State, that Monday, I never felt like that this team, the coach, like I didn't feel like Brian Kelly was really rattled. We talked about in his press conference, like, oh, that's the most stress we've seen him. No, you're asking him questions like, do you think that you actually are any good? And he's like, guys, shut up. We're not a bad football team. Like, you know, and so I never felt him being stressed. And I just hope, Carter, here's my hope, that you have a team that's really pissed off and wants to continue to prove something. You know, like, take the final score out of it. What does the eye test tell you? What does that eye test tell you? Because that could easily do it for you. You know what else I noticed too? I asked Ty Richardson this last night, and I was on his show this morning, and we brought it up. We brought it up both times. Do you remember that time they were? I think it was right before half or right after half when KJ would. I think KJ would throw the pass in the end zone, and it was the last time they would score, a third quarter maybe. I don't remember. But KJ broke contain and got to the outside, and it was just him and a safety. And he ran out of bounds.
Yeah. That was weird.
Ain't the KJ I know. The KJ I know is going to say,
yeah.
He's going to try to go full Caleb Jackson. Something's off. Something was off.
Yeah, that's what, what Sam Pittman's saying is he banged up. I'll tell you this, Blake. The reason why I brought up the Kent State game is for this reason. Yes, by the scoreline, it looked like they blew him out, but he took a lot of hard hits. And their running game has struggled so much that they don't trust any of their running backs outside of him. So they just kept running QB power, because that was the only thing that was working. And those things just begin to add up. And, I did my show earlier tonight, and this is one thing Jaden Daniels can learn from KJ Jefferson. He did look worn down. And Jaden, obviously.
Jaden doesn't, though. You think Jaden looks worn down?
No. My point is, if
you're talking about get out of bounds, get down,
right? At this, especially if you're blowing them out. I don't mind if it's close game. You got to get what you can get. That's a big part of what Jaden brings. It's just those things do begin to add up. And I've seen it. We've all seen quarterbacks just consistently just wear down over time. Those things do begin to add up. Obviously, Blake, LSU special teams has been really good. Arkansas's got a really good returner who's an LSU legacy.
Satania.
Yeah, his parents were LSU sprinters.
Doesn't Satania sound like an Italian dish? Like, do you feel like you go to Olive Garden, you could order the Satanga?
I would love to order this, but I'm a tour.
That's funny.
I'm a tour of Italy guy, man. That's my jam, baby.
Oh my God!
You got to get the tour of Italy, baby.
Fried pork chops is not Italian.
Fried pork chops. You can get fried pork chops.
The tour of Italy's got the little fried pork and like fettuccine with cheese.
No, that's not fried. That's not a pork chop. It's a chicken.
You know what real Italian is? Let me tell you what real Italian is, buddy.
I defer to you.
As growing up in a house with a Sicilian and an Italian. Italian. If it ain't got red sauce in it, you a hoe.
Have you ever tossed a pizza dough?
My grandpa did, and he had arthritis really bad. His brother used to do it. He had arthritis, so his hands were cuffed, and he would have it perfectly. And the man would like throw it up in the air, and he caught it one time. I'll never forget this. And we all started laughing. He's not that kind of dude. Like, he's not that kind of dude. They were playing with him. And my brother Brett, I think, like, it went through his hands, like, because he doesn't have like a lot of mobility. And it was, but yeah, he'd never cooked. You know what his favorite dish was?
What's that?
Josephine's spaghetti and meatballs and a thing of Popeye's chicken. That man kept Popeyes alive. Do you hear me?
He's a walking carb, man. I love that, baby. I do.
And it's solid as a rock.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Anyway, let's talk on Jaden Daniels really quickly. Yeah. My goodness. Ooh.
It was a legendary performance. I mean, when you just look at the numbers, I mean, that was
the numbers. F the numbers. Shit. He was the best quarterback in the country last week.
No, I agree. I totally agree. It was a legendary game by Jaden Daniels. He would go 30 for 34. And the good thing about going 30 for 34, and you only missed 4 throws. The first one obviously was a throwaway. That means 30 for 34. No drops. The drops are cleaning up. So that's
all right. Hold on, because this is going to be a good clip until Pooh Bear ruined it. He said, "Fried chicken, Blake. You sure he was?" Never mind. Come on, man. All right, continue. So now I can get my.
Explain the joke. Explain the joke.
He was asking my grandpa. My grandpa was black. I mean, don't ask the white guy to explain the joke. Carter, you just made the white guy explain the black joke.
Yeah,
live on television.
You got to finish the punchline. That's part of it. You commit to the bit. If you
this is why I don't read comments during the show during a guest because of this. Okay, all right.
I don't care.
Back to Jaden. You were saying, continue.
No,
he was 30 of 34.
It's 30 for 34. That means also no drops. And that's obviously a really good thing. And Malik was on fire as well, but it was just Jaden ripping it. And that's always a good thing. Also, something else is Malik Neighbors in the slot, man. It is a killer formation. And look, he should also play the outside. I'm not saying that, but it feels good getting Malik from the slot playing vertical and getting his momentum going towards, down the field instead of just comeback routes to the outside. Let's let Malik let those legs run, man. And dude, Jaden was just throwing dots. I mean, the accuracy was so freaking good. So big kudos to Jaden. It's statistically one of the best LSU performances in history. Same thing on Malik's end, and that's a good thing.
Well, look, and I thought last week he's going to have to use his legs to get out of the pocket. They're going to blitz him all day. They blitz Carter multiple times. They blitz more guys than you had to protect.
Yeah.
And he rifled it down the field. You know what else really stood? Like, we have not talked about this week, and I've been waiting for you to get on the show to talk about this. You want to know why Logan Diggs? I know Caleb Jackson has the highest upside in that room. I'm not. You know how much I like that kid. You know why Logan Diggs right now is the best running back in that room? Pass protection, pass pro. I mean, dude, it's not as if like Mississippi State's a bad team. He tattooed 2 NFL linebackers multiple times in pass pro. It was highly impressive. And knowing what to do, knowing where to be, the en route to Bryant Thomas. Here comes Logan Diggs stuffing Bubba Watson up the middle, okay? That kid's going to probably be a second-round pick, Carter. That's where he's slotted to be at, and he's getting a pancake on him. That goes highly unnoticed.
Yeah, and it makes you not want to take him off the field, right? If you're able to do those little things right. And the funny thing is Logan Diggs was doing this as a true freshman. So that was one of the most impressive things that really stood out to me was how good he was at that as a true freshman. That's a lot of information to process. It's really tough because you're not really pass protecting in high school all that much. So yeah,
He
Logan
didn't do it at all at Rummel.
He's a real deal, man.
It's just
He is
him.
a real
He's
deal.
trained. That's all that is.
I totally agree with you. I like he is so freaking solid. I mean, there's no part of his game where there really is a weakness, and he's thick, man. He's a big back.
Pause, but yeah.
No, I love thick running backs. I like them thick. You can pause all you want, man. I'll say that.
Did you see the guy, speaking of pause-worthy comments, did you see the guy who on the Travis Hunter hit said that the kid from Colorado State
that was an all-time pause.
should have been ejected. He would ejaculated.
Yes, the worst thing and the best thing all in one train.
It got like 45 million reaches. Like that means that like almost the entire United States saw that tweet. Okay, like that is ridiculous.
That was an all-time Freudian.
All-time. You know what else surprised me too? A guy that surprised me a lot. What do you do with Whit Weeks now?
Yeah, he popped, man. And one thing about Whit is his high school tape was probably the most exciting out of anybody.
I agree. I agree with that.
It was unfreaking believable. Like how much crap that guy did during the course of a game. Kickoff returns, kickoff team, tight end, running back. I mean, he was so freaking dominant. So if you really watch that and you watch a lot of other high school clips, you'd be like, okay, this isn't really like too unprecedented, but yeah, he looked really good. And he also, looked smart, right? On the 1 QB pressure, he did a good job disguising that he was pressuring, at least from my vantage point.
Came right up the middle. He fooled a 6-year senior, Carter.
Yeah. So yes, it was a thing.
Beat out his brother to take the starting job.
And that was a big concern for me, Blake. I was, and look, I think West is a fine backup linebacker, but that takes a lot.
Baby brother's the truth.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like you look historically, there are a lot of LSU younger brothers that turn out to be, better than the older brother. And
just call him what his name is. His name is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, Justin.
By the way, they have another one about to hit high school.
But another Jefferson?
Yeah.
No, I honestly,
Jet's his little brother.
Oh, that's crazy. I'm looking forward to it.
He's like 11 or 12. He caught a one-handed catch in junior high. They posted on Twitter or Facebook. I think his parents did. He had a one-handed catch in the back of the end zone and had a foot drop down.
I can imagine Frank Wilson going up there. You have a commitment.
Oh, dude, Frank Wilson's already there, dude. That kid has no chance to get out of this state. Zero.
The most committable offer of all time.
He's 12. He hadn't hit puberty, and he already got an offer.
Man, he's that's just crazy. That's so crazy.
Speaking of Whit,
yeah,
you were gonna say something.
No, he's great. I like that he wears number 40. A lot of great linebackers at LSU have worn that number. I'm a big jersey number guy, but he's really good. He's really good.
Speaking of wide receivers, talking about Jets, look, man, here's the truth. Against Florida State in times last season, that ball that Brian Thomas caught over the middle, the ball that Brian Thomas caught where he shook the linebacker and got upfield for the first down, there was one thing that I called out Jane Daniels on last week. He does not like attacking the middle of the field. He just doesn't. No. And you know what he did early in that game? He attacked in the middle of the field and those deep shots to Malik open up. If he Carter, I don't think it's an ability. I've never thought that it's an ability or want to throw the ball down the field for Jaden. What I think it's been is that he's not throwing the ball in the middle enough for it to be effective enough, where teams aren't getting beat bad enough to where you don't have that single coverage on the outside with Malik Neighbors. That's what I really think has been his issue. We saw him throw it deep against Florida when he was having success across the middle. Remember when Cole Taylor last year against Florida had that catch along the seam route?
Yeah.
Then everything just so happened to open up after that. If there's one thing, it's not really the deep stuff that I necessarily want to see from Jane this weekend. I want to see him attack the middle of the field. If he does that, I know that he's going to be cooking for a while. Do you agree with that?
Fully agree. Going back to that Cole play, that was a 3rd and 10 throw with anticipation. And that was within the framework of the play. And LSU was down by 7. So that throw was so big in that game. You're right. It completely.
But to the wide receivers, though, the ones that he historically throws over the middle, Kyron Lacy, get dropped.
They dropped.
And they weren't on Saturday.
They weren't. And that is part of the reason why I like Malik Neighbors in the slot, because Jaden just feels so comfortable with him. And, obviously the big play was the all-out blitz in the first quarter. Jaden is dealing with an A-gap blitz right up the middle untouched. And it was the right decision. It was a safety coming on the delayed blitz. And he throws that ball to Malik to make it a comfortable 4th down. It's just world-class quarterback play. It really is. And, if you want to get deeper on this, the top 3 offenses in the NFL, or what we would consider some of the better offenses in the NFL.
All 3 of those quarterbacks use the middle of the field more than they use it outside the hashes.
Right. So the 3 offenses are all McVay guys, and it's McVay, McDaniel, and LaFleur. And Dude,
Jordan Love, for example, Jordan Love is not as great as quarterback as people think. Have you seen his numbers?
No, he's not that great.
He had 3 tutties last week. He had 3 tutties the week before. You know where all of them are coming from? In the middle of the defense.
One to Louisiana native Dontavian Wicks.
Right.
Yeah. So it's. So the question is why don't more people throw to the middle? Well, it's because it's just where the traffic is. And Jaden is a notorious risk-averse quarterback. But
Brian Thomas is just going to have to take that early hit in the game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got it. You got to be able to use that, and then from there, it like you said, it opens up a lot of different things. And the thing is Jaden is a tall quarterback, right? And I mean, he's not, Josh Allen, but he's tall. So it's not an issue of
he's not Mike Glennon back there.
Yeah. Or how about a throwback here?
Steven Rivers.
Look at you. All-time AYS moment right there. Look at you. How did
Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
How did you think?
Don't play with me.
Dig deep for that one. Oh my God, that's an all.
People just think I'm a blithering idiot because I scream a lot. I'm not actually a blithering idiot.
Steven Rivers. Oh my God, I love a good
6'7" Steven Rivers.
Yeah, the younger brother of Phillip was an LSU quarterback.
Steven Rivers would wind up going to Northwestern State. And I was at the Southeastern Northwestern State game. People were making fun of him on his team because they said every time he throws, he farts a little. They call him Fart Box.
You're making that up. That's not true. You don't. That's the worst. It sounds like something that sounds like something Ben would make up. A Fart Box. They called him Fart Box.
Okay.
I don't believe that. I need confirmation.
It's funny because days before LSU news breaks, I call you and tell you, and now you're going to question me when I saw it with my own eyes.
I don't believe it. I do not believe it. Okay, I do not believe the fart box.
Fart box.
It's not true. There's no way he farts. He farts a little bit before he throws every pass.
That's what they said.
I mean, there's no way because.
Okay, can I give you the punchline now?
Okay, let's hear it.
They said that he would let all the gas out before he would, all the gas would leave his body right before he throws, and that's why he was that big and couldn't throw the ball hard. and he threw lollipops because he didn't have any gas.
Yeah, I didn't have any energy. Okay, it was no gas left in the tank. I see. I don't believe the fart box story.
It didn't happen. I was trying to make a dad joke, man.
So it wasn't true?
No, it's not true.
Oh my God.
They were. Here's the truth. They were making fun of him, though. Okay. They were making fun of him. They were joking with him. He got pulled in the game because he was like 4 of 19. He had 4 picks, I believe.
And we're just talking about better younger brothers. No, we're just talking about better younger brothers. And Philip was a bag of ass.
Yeah.
I know Steven was. Philip was a baller. Philip was so good. He wore a visor as a quarterback before.
And has 17 children.
Yes. And he rocks bolo ties. We are pro.
True. All right. One more before I get you out of here. Let me ask you this. What do you got? You guys score prediction on this one?
Yeah, I think Arkansas covers. I think, there's a piece of me that thinks LSU. I've watched so much about these teams, and LSU just looks way better. And I feel like in my heart that this game is going to be like a 37-14 kind of game, and LSU just rolls. But this is Arkansas season, right? And it's also LSU season. And I'm not belittling that because they got to win out to basically get into the playoff. But I'm gonna go 37-27 LSU. That's good.
I had 38-28 this morning.
Okay,
high with them. Yeah, so we're right there.
Great minds think alike.
Love you, buddy. Thanks for being amazing.
All right, fart box. We'll see you.
All right, see you. Fart box. That's Carter Bryant. Let me get to one last break, and then I got to get out of here because it's 8 o'clock. Let me talk about my good friends over the Drake Williams Law